Welcome to episode number 14 of Working Moms Reduce Stress. Today we are talking all about how to stop striving for Supermom. We've got to take off the cape, right? You've seen The Incredibles? No capes! Alright, so in part number 1 of this 3-part series, I talked all about how other people really do benefit when we take off the cape, when we stop striving for Supermom, right? Now this week, I'm going to teach you step by step how to actually just take that cape and take it off forever. Stay tuned. Hey ladies, Lacey Busse here. I am a busy working mom. I've got 2 kids and I created Working Moms Reduce Stress because I love teaching other moms how to alleviate stress, how to slow down and just enjoy your time with your family and carve out time for yourself. So, if you want to feel less stressed, have more mental energy, and just feel that fog be lifted from your brain, make sure you hit the subscribe button, click that bell for notifications because I have so many tips and tricks that you are not going to want to miss. All right? Let's jump into today's episode. Just a quick reminder, this episode is brought to you by my Fixing Supper workshop. It honestly will take your evenings from exhausting to enjoyable. Like, dare I say, even a little bit effortless? It is absolutely amazing. I've helped a lot of women so far, and I can't wait to help you too. So it's a 4-week live online workshop. So you get my accountability, my coaching, my guidance all the way through it. You also get 30 different recipes that you get to pick from. And the whole basis of this workshop is to help you learn how to effectively meal plan, grocery shop with a really solid list, and then meal prep so that you never have to deal with that super annoying question of what's for supper, what's for dinner, ever again, okay? So, see the show notes of this week's episode, which you can find at laceybusse.com/mom14, so mom14, in order to get the link, and you can just learn more about it. And from that link, you can also jump in and sign up. All right, it is time to jump in. Step number 1 to taking off that cape and stopping striving for Supermom. Stopping striving? Not sure if that's the right way to say it, but I don't care. You know what I mean. So, what I want you to do is to figure out what in your life is overextending you, okay? Why is it so hard to keep up with everything, right? It's really hard to keep that cape on, but there's things in your life that are overextending you, right? That are stressing you out, that are making you feel stretched so freaking thin that you're just gonna snap, like I talked about in last week's episode, right? I'll link to that one in the show notes, by the way. But you have to first identify what it is that is stressing you out. What is it that's exhausting you and making you feel so stretched thin? Okay? Step number 2, delegate parts of whatever that is. Okay? So I'm going to use the example of cleaning. Okay? In 2014, like I talked about in my show notes from last week, I hit rock bottom. I could not take it anymore. I couldn't do it all. Like, rock bottom with Supermom-ness, I mean. And I remember standing in my kitchen just crying because I'm like, I was talking to my husband and I'm like, honey, I just can't do all of this anymore. I need help. So I hit that step number 2 where I'm like, okay, I need to delegate something. So for me, it was cleaning. Like, I needed help. And for me, I delegated it with, his encouragement too, to my husband. He's like, honey, I can help you. I didn't know that, you were so stressed out and so stretched thin that, you were hitting that breaking point. So it's so interesting to me how these 3 parts of this series correlate so much, because last week I talked about how taking off that cape and not being supermom can strengthen your marriage. And this is part of that. So what I want you guys to understand is that sometimes it can be really hard to delegate. And that is actually step number 3, is to identify why it's hard for you to delegate. Is it, a part of perfectionism? That if somebody else does something, it's not going to be perfect, which kind of ties into, is it control? That you want to have control over everything that you do. Really identifying why it is that you have a hard time delegating will help you to move through it, okay? One other thing that I want to bring up in that aspect is that sometimes, for me at least, and I'm sure that there's some other people out there that feel this way, when you delegate and you throw up your hands and you're like, you know what, I just can't do it all anymore, you feel like a massive failure. I've always, can't is not in my dictionary. It's just not in my vocabulary. I don't use it. I've always had the I can do it kind of attitude. So it's really hard for me to say I can't do it all, right? It's logical that we can't do it all, but I have a really hard time with that, because I'm like, no, I can do it. I just have to figure out how. But you guys, we have to realize that taking off that cape and not being supermom anymore does not make us a failure. We have to use some self-love tips, and I have a video coming out about self-love, okay? But we have to use some of those tips to make it be okay with us that we do delegate, and make us not feel like a failure when we delegate. So one of those tips that I want to, give you a little sneak peek preview, because it's so applicable to this topic, is affirmations, okay? One of my favorite affirmations is, I have worked hard and I deserve to rest. All of this ties together for stress relief and just living slower, okay? So when you tie together those self-love tips and the affirmations, which I did a whole video about, I'll link to that one in the show notes too. But when you tie in those affirmations and also the self-care, okay? I have an episode coming up about that too. I'm so excited. You guys have to subscribe because I don't want you to miss it. But when you tie in those other aspects into you taking off the cape, it actually, it just makes everything come together, and you feel so much better about not doing everything. And it's going to help you to not feel like a failure when you say, you know what, can you take this on? Or can we hire a cleaning person? Or can we hire somebody to cut the grass? Or whatever it might be, however you decide to delegate, you're going to feel so much better about it when you tie in those affirmations, just affirming to yourself, you know what, no, I am doing this for the greater good of my family and for myself, and it's just, everybody's going to be happier if I don't try to take on everything. Okay, so step number 4 is to take baby steps, okay? Don't try to delegate everything all at once, all right? It's probably just going to create you more stress. So just take baby steps with it and just delegate one thing at a time, see how it goes, which is actually step number 5, and that is to assess, okay? After you've delegated, sometimes delegating decreases stress. Sometimes it doesn't. because of those things where we have a hard time letting go, right? Of that perfectionism and that control. And it's like, it's just not done quite the way that I would want it to be done. It's okay, all right? So take some time to assess and just make sure that what you delegated is actually reducing your stress, okay? So just to recap for you really quick, step number 1, identify what it is that is stressing you out and just making you want to throw up your hands and be like, I quit, I'm done, I'm out. Okay, so identify what that is. Step number 2, delegate parts of that. Okay, kind of goes along with step number 4, right? But delegate parts of it. Number 3, identify why it's hard for you to delegate. Okay. Number 4 is to take baby steps. Okay, like I said in step number 2, just delegate parts. Okay, take baby steps with it, one step at a time. Step number 5 is after you've done all that, take some time to assess if delegating whatever you delegated, I should count the number of times I said delegated in this video, right? It could be one of those fun drinking games. Anyway, assess whether what you delegated is actually reducing your stress or if it's not, okay? So it just takes some time to sit back and assess. One last thing that I forgot to mention as far as assessing, just give it like a week or a month. You don't want to assess the next day, obviously. You gotta give it some time to just let the dust settle, right? And just mark your calendar for like a month from now. And, just have it be like, assess delegating or assess, whatever it is. And mark your calendar, have that alarm go off on your phone, and it'll be that much better because there will be some kinks that you got to work out in the meantime. All right? So there you have it. Next week, I am going to talk all about the superpowers that you will continue to have even after you take off the cape. All right? So last week, I talked about who benefits when we stop striving for Supermom. Today, obviously, I talked about all how to stop because it's freaking hard sometimes, right? And then next week is all going to be about after you've taken off the cape, you're still going to have a lot of those superpowers, but I want to point out to you everything that you're still going to rock at even after you're not Supermom anymore. All right? Make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications, okay? Because that way you won't miss out on anything. And click that share link. Send this link for the video to your friends, okay? They need these tips. We all want to be Supermom. We all want to do it all, right? We deserve to have less stress in our lives. We deserve to be able to delegate without guilt. So share this video with your friends. I really want to reach as many stressed out moms as I possibly can because we need these tips, okay? All right, I will talk to you guys later. Make sure you visit the show notes for the link to learn all about my Fixing Supper workshop, taking your evenings from exhausting to enjoyable, right? Show notes can be found at laceybusse.com/mom14. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.